Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Dr. Rajeshwar from YR Pharma Tube. This is the continuation from the earlier lecture on effective presentation skills. In this video, we discuss on planning your presentation. You will learn the personal appearance both for men and women and the various steps to prepare your presentation. Learning objectives. Personal appearance both for men and women. 8 steps to prepare your presentation. Step 1 is analyzing your audience. Number 2, develop position, action, benefit. Number 3, brainstorm main ideas. Number 4, state the subpoints. Number 5, develop introduction and conclusions. Number 6, formulate the main idea, preview or review sentence. Number 7, develop slides or other visual aids. And number 8, develop handouts. Personal appearance. This section is not intended to provide specific fashion guidelines, but rather some general considerations on your dress and appearance. In general, avoid excess. Keep patterns, accessories, and colors simple. You should be the focus, not what you are wearing. There is a growing trend toward casual dress in the workplace. Business casual has replaced suits for both men and women in many environments. In terms of a presentation, who is in the audience will always determine how you should dress. When in doubt, dress up a bit. For men, suits should be well tailored. For presentations, clothes that are checkered, brightly colored, or that clash will not reflect well on your image. Generally, dark blues, grays, and blacks in single or double-breasted classic styles are the safest bet. Depending on the audience, a sport coat and well-matched trousers may do. Men's suit coats are designed to be buttoned, whereas many women's coats are not. In a presentation, depending on the level of formality, you may wish to button the jacket, unbutton it, or take the coat off altogether. Number 3, shirts should fit well and the color should not be too much. If you are worried about perspiration showing, wear a cotton t-shirt and a white shirt. If going on TV, avoid white shirts in favor of light grey. Number 4, ties can be used to complement the color of your eyes and face. The traditional red powered tie may not be the best color for you. Experiment a bit. The red tie causes the audience eyes to focus first on the tie and not on you. Subtler colors may work better for you. Number 5, shoes should be appropriate, comfortable, and well shined. Make sure that socks match and that they cover any bare leg when you sit down. And number 6, hair frames the face. It should be well groomed regardless of style. Beards should be well groomed also, and mustaches should be trimmed above the lip line. For women, clothes should fit well, not too tight. Hem length should be decided upon by what works for you and what you will look like to those in the audience, especially if you are sitting up on a stage. Generally, longer sleeves are recommended to maintain a more business-like appearance. Number 2, find 2 or 3 colors that work well with your complexion and hair color. You might wish to consult one of the many books on the subject or contact a color consultant. Find good fabrics and make sure that they don't make noise when you move. Generally, avoid very bright reds and oranges and blacks and whites since these colors are harsher and tend to draw attention away from the face. Number 3, avoid jewelry that sparkles, dangles, or makes noise. More subtle accessories are called for when you are the presenter. Earrings, brooches, and bracelets that distract will annoy the audience and draw attention away from your presentation. Number 4, makeup should be simple and complement the wearer. Overdone makeup can become the focus of negative and unwanted attention. Makeup that is well done can control oily areas of the face that might reflect light, enhance natural features, and help you look more relaxed even in the most difficult presentation situations. And number 5, hair, like other aspects of your appearance, should add to a positive overall impression of your appearance. While styles are highly individual, they should not be the dominant feature of the face. A word about glasses for both sexes. The rule of thumb in presentations is to wear glasses if you need them to see the audience or read visuals and so on. If you do need them, you might consider an anti-glare coating on the glasses. The reason for this is that the glass reflects light in the room and the audience will not be able to see your eyes. The coating eliminates glare and allows others to clearly see your eyes. Also, avoid tinted lenses since this will increase the audience's difficulty in seeing your eyes. Coming to the 8 steps to prepare your presentation. Part of planning a presentation means that you must ask yourself why, not what. The what part will be answered when you begin to organize your thoughts. In the beginning, you should concern yourself with why you are giving presentation to a particular audience. The answer to this question should help you plan your presentation. Step 1, Analyzing your audience. Put yourself in the shoes of the people who will be listening to your presentation. When analyzing your audience, you have 5 items to consider. They are needs, attitude, knowledge level, environment, and demographic information. Coming to the needs, it is important to find out in advance of the presentation what the group thinks they need. This may be quite different from what you thought they needed. The speaker then must find a way to resolve the discrepancy. You must ask a representative of the audience about this, or before you start the presentation, you can ask the audience, if appropriate, what they need to hear. Attitude. How do they feel about the topic? Are they positive or negative on the topic? Or perhaps the group is mixed. Maybe certain sections of the presentation will generate strong feelings in either direction. What you uncover here must be factored into the structure and phrasing of the presentation. Knowledge level. All of us have our own area of specialization. Speakers must be careful not to use technical language, abbreviations, acronyms, buzzwords, and so on that people in the audience might not understand. If in doubt, ask the audience if they are familiar with the terminology and define it if necessary. Environment. Consider the room and general environment in which you will be speaking. Could seating, room size, equipment availability, and lighting affect your interaction with the audience? Environment can also be thought of in terms of psychological environment. Is there anything going on with the audience members that might affect their reception of you and your ideas? Psychological environment could be affected by recent good news or bad news. Then demographic information. This may include the age, gender, race, religion, culture, and language of the audience members. Of these, culture and language present the greatest challenge to speakers. In delivering to international audiences, it is good idea to gain an understanding of any cultural differences that may affect the way in which you present. Also, you may need to understand the language level of your audience. Some members may not be native speakers of the language you are using. Find out in advance if you need an interpreter. Here is an audience analysis worksheet. This form should help you plan more efficiently for any presentation. like the specific needs of the audience members, their attitude towards the topic, the knowledge level of the audience in relation to the subject matter, what are the physical or psychological environmental elements that might affect the audience, and the demographic factors in the audience that might impact your presentation. Step 2. Develop position, action, benefit. Before developing the body of the presentation and after doing a thorough audience analysis, clarify what you intend to do in the presentation by developing the following position, action, and benefit statements. Position. This is a sentence that tells the audience what you personally think about the topic. It is your stance, your opinion, your thesis, your belief on the issue. It must be stated clearly and succinctly. It is important to put this information out to the audience at the start of the presentation. It tells the audience exactly where you stand so they won't be wondering what the presentation is all about. Action. This is simply a statement of what you would like your audience to do, to believe, or to understand. There is a wide range of actions an audience might take. The action you ask them to take should be specific, achievable, and done within a specific time frame. Benefit. This tells the audience what is in it for them if they do what you ask. Step 3. Brainstorm main ideas. Using post notes, note cards, or a similar tool, brainstorm some possible main ideas for your presentation. Write one idea on each postcard. Let the ideas flow at this point. Do not edit, that will come later. The strategy is to generate as many ideas as possible. Once you have a large number of ideas, begin eliminating some. Try to end up with between 2 and 5 main ideas. This is typical number for one presentation. If you have more than 5 ideas, you should reduce them by making some of them sub-points. Problems with the current system, capabilities of proposed system, and benefits of proposed system. These 3 ideas are the general assertions you plan to make to your audience. Specific explanations, evidence, and benefits will become your sub-points. Step 4. State the sub-points. Once you have main points of your presentation, it is time to develop supporting ideas. These may consist of facts, data, references, stories, analogies, or other forms of evidence that support your main ideas. Using the information you have gathered, build a logical flow in your presentation. You may have more or fewer subpoints in your presentation. Once you have completed this procedure, rearrange your postcards to best suit your needs. Try different arrangements to see what will work best. Always keep your position, action, benefits, and audience in mind. Step 5. Develop introductions and conclusions. The easiest way to open and close a presentation is simply to use your 3-sentence position, action, and benefit statement. This method for entry and exit works for 90% of business and technical presentations. However, there are times when a more formal introduction and conclusion are called for. However, keep in mind that the position, action, benefit statement must immediately follow and precede the formal introductory device. Below, you will find some common and powerful formal openers and closers. Anecdote. An anecdote is a short story used to help illustrate a point. It is sometimes humorous but not always. Humor. Humor is a great way to break the ice. But beware, humor must be linked to the speaker, topic, audience, or the occasion. Also, never tell a joke that has to do with sex, race, religion, or any other personal topic. If you ask yourself, should I tell that joke? Don't. Be conservative with your use of humor. There is nothing worse than a joke used in an introduction that has no connection to the speech. Nothing is more embarrassing than a joke that falls flat. Involving question. There are two ways to do this. First, you can ask an open ended question, but beware, someone might yell out the wrong answer or crack a joke at your expense. The second way, and the safer of the two, is to ask for a show of hands. It is no guarantee that you won't get heckled, but generally audiences will respond the way you request them to. Rhetorical question. A rhetorical question is a question with an obvious answer. An example is, how many people here want bigger research grants? This device is an excellent way to get the audience's attention. Shocking statement. A statement such as, last year enough people died in automobile accidents to fill every seat in the local university's football stadium. This is why I am going to convince you to wear seat belts. This type of statement will help capture your audience's attention. And then quotation. You may wish to begin your presentation with a brief quotation. Quotations should be limited to a sentence or two, and the source of the quotation should always be given. It is okay to read a quotation directly since you want it to be accurate. Avoid memorizing all but the simplest or well-known quotes. A final word about introductions and conclusions. The position, action, and benefit must be clearly restated in the close of the presentation. Many speakers finish on the last main idea and fail to summarize and solidly conclude the presentation. The position, action, benefit is the perfect way to do it. If you used a formal opener such as an anecdote or rhetorical question, then a restatement of that should follow the position, action, and benefit. Introductions and conclusions put the head and tail on the body of your presentation. If they are missing or not fully developed, you don't have a complete presentation and it will be evident to the audience. Step 6. Formulate the main idea preview or review sentence. Preview and review are the main important points in your presentation. This should immediately follow and precede respectively the opening and closing of your presentation. This can be accomplished very easily by using a main idea preview sentence and a main idea review sentence. Always deliver your presentation in the following sequence. Number 1, introduction. Number 2, preview sentence. Number 3, main ideas and sub-ideas. Number 4, review sentence. And number 5, conclusion. Step 7. Develop slides or other visual aids. Once your organizational pattern has been established, you need to decide if and where you are going to use visual aids. Guidelines for developing and using visuals in the presentation are discussed in the next lectures. For now, it is important only that you determine how they will fit into your plan. And the last step is to develop handouts. Now you can decide what handouts would add to your presentation. There are 3 major uses of handouts. Number 1, to reinforce important information. Number 2, to summarize action items for the audience to follow up on. And number 3, to supply supporting data you won't want cluttering your visual aids. Once you have decided what handouts would be beneficial, you must then decide when you are going to hand them out. There are 3 alternatives: before the presentation, during the presentation, and at the end of the presentation. Before the presentation. This is the preferred method in business presentations. Typically, copies of the slides are distributed. You may choose to use the speaker note function in the Microsoft PowerPoint, so you can put narrative explanation on the page with the slide copy. The main problem with this is that your audience may wish to satisfy their curiosity about the contents of your handout as you are speaking. When people are reading, they are not listening. One way to deal with this problem is to have the handout in place when the audience enters the room. This will allow them to read it before you begin speaking. In addition, you can explain the handout before actually starting the presentation, satisfying their curiosity about the contents. During the presentation, this must be used carefully. Handouts during the presentation must be dispersed quickly and be relevant to the point you are making. Otherwise, they will be a distraction, not an aid. At the end of the presentation, during your presentation, you can inform the audience that they will receive a handout covering such and such points at the end of the presentation. This will allow them to avoid having to take unnecessary notes. However, whether or not you use this technique depends on your audience analysis. If the audience is accustomed to receiving handouts with presentations, or if it would be useful for them to follow the presentation with the data before them, you might not want to withhold them. If handouts such as glossy photos, marketing brochures are going to distract from your oral presentation and not add substantially to the message, hold them back. This is the review checklist, planning and organizing your presentation. Use this sheet to help prepare your next presentation. For my presentation, I have analyzed the audience, developed position, action, benefit statements, brainstormed main ideas, stated subpoints, developed introduction and conclusion, formulated the main idea preview or review sentence, developed slides and visuals, and finally developed handouts. That's all in this video. In this lesson, we have learnt the personal appearance of both men and women and the various steps to prepare the presentation. I hope you have understood and use them in your next presentation to get benefit out of this lesson. We will continue to discuss on slides and other visual aids in the next video. Keep learning and keep watching my videos. If you have not subscribed this channel yet, please consider to subscribe now. Thank you for watching this video.